What is up, guys? Welcome back. I hope you are surviving this crazy, crazy market. Oh my God, the last few days has been a bit insane. We have tariffs, then we don't have tariffs, or we have rumors of no tariffs, and then we actually have no tariffs or a delay in tariffs. It's been a crazy few days. Uh, Needless to say, the strategy has not really liked this a whole lot. The amount of volatility that's going on is just way beyond uh, what this strategy can currently take. So I'm definitely going to need to make some more adjustments to, especially to the regime detection, but also the risk management piece. So over the last week or so, I know I disappeared for probably about a week now since my last update. Been still working out some issues with the paper broker. I think everything at this point is ironed out. I did notice one anomaly where basically I had the strategy trading on Vine, meme coin, and I'm using the midpoint of the bid ask kind of as the mark price to kind of set the portfolio value to. And For some reason, a lot of the asks disappeared, and the price just the midpoint shot up because of that. Even though the price itself didn't move, the asks disappeared for, I don't know, maybe 3 seconds or so. And the strategy was short, so the paper broker was like, "Oh, dang, you are short. The midpoint just shot up, and so I'm just going to go ahead and you hit your 3% stop loss limit for the day. I'm going to close everything out." So needless to say, I closed the positions, even though the price actually didn't move during that 3 second window. There was just the order book liquidity went way thin on one side. I'm not sure why. It could be because if we look at Vine on Paradex here, it's not a ton of volume anyway, about $250,000. So that could be a big reason for it. So anyway, but I wanted to trade Vine because it's very volatile. I was just kind of curious how this strategy would handle a coin like this. So I have it. I have it up and running along with Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. So let's just take a look at some results here. Bitcoin, this is over the past week or so. The strategy's down 7%. It's hit its stop loss 3 times in the last week. So obviously, there is still quite a bit more work to do here on the risk management side, the regime detection, trend detection, just knowing when to GTFU and sit on the sidelines completely. So that's one thing the strategy does not do right now is just bail on the market, close out its positions and just say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything until the market calms down a bit. I'm kind of torn about that because I feel like very volatile markets could also be very profitable for a market making strategy, right? Because you got price all over the place, but at the same time, probably the better course of action is to widen the spreads by quite a bit to account for that additional volatility, right? Anyway, yeah, it's been a rough week for the strategy. It fell another 3% today. It hit its stop loss, and you can see why late morning U.S. time, we just had a nosedive here really without any sort of relief rally. And so the strategy just kind of got toasted, and that was it was like with most of the coins today. So I have this, like I said, running with Ethereum, Solana, and Vine, and so Ethereum though, just the strategy is just not liking running on Ethereum, and I think it might be because my base spread that I have this thing quoting at is like probably way too thin, or too narrow. Whereas with Solana, it's a little bit wider. And then Vine, since I'm like, this is pretty volatile coin, so I'm going to make the spread extra wide. Vine has actually been like not doing as bad as the other coins have been. So here's kind of a comparison over the past week, how things have been doing. You see Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin, I have the spread kind of midway. So Ethereum is probably the tightest spread. Solana is like a bit wider. Bitcoin's even wider than that, and Vine is even wider. So the way that I have the strategy set up is there's a kind of a base spread, and then things get adjusted for volatility and order book imbalance, and then the short term order flow. It will add additional padding onto that base spread. And so kind of what I'm seeing here is Vine has the highest base spread out of all these four coins actually, and it seems to be faring pretty relatively well, I should say. It still has lost money over the past week, but out of all four of these, it's lost the least, and today it just crushed it. It was up almost 4% today. So might be something there. So it's one thing to look at. Now, the other thing that I'm started taking a look at this week is building a more robust model for regime detection. So I've got some regime detection right now that's saying, okay, you're in a uptrending market, you're in a downtrending market, you're in a neutral market. And that's just kind of being based right now on volatility and price action, not taking a look at any sort of volume as part of that or anything like that. So I'm taking a look at using some more sophisticated models to detect regime changes and just what regime we're in right now. And so I've taken a look at using a few different models. Random forest is kind of the one I've settled on, and so I took a bunch of different indicators and threw them in there and kind of rated it by importance. And here is what I was seeing. So we've got average true range, where the price is to the VWAP, deviation, standard deviation, the returns, the slope of the VWAP, the volume, the body to the range. So like, are the bars like closing and opening and closing near their highs and lows, or is there like, a lot of movement going on and they're closing closer to their middle of their range? The slope of the linear regression, and then just the return over the look back window. And so then the model rates it on kind of the features that it's seeing as important here. So obviously ATR, the VWAP, and the standard deviation, the returns. So I had it make some predictions, and here we've got a confusion matrix. So basically having it predict, okay, we're in a bearish regime, or it's predicting when we're in a bearish regime. Is it actually in a bearish regime then? Is it a neutral regime when it predicts it? And so not like super impressive results here with what the model is predicting. So like if it's predicting bearish regime, 36% of the time it actually ended up being bullish. 12% was neutral, and 31% it was actually bearish. Predicted bullish, it was actually bullish 23% of the time, actually bearish 24% of the time. So like kind of the moral here is like it's actually predicting neutral. It's like being super conservative on when it's predicting neutral markets. So now the question is there enough information here to like give us a little bit more of an edge on when we should be extra cautious or not? So I don't know is the answer. So I'm going to do a bit more analysis on this. And actually, I think before I implement anything with this random forest model, as I refine it a bit more, I think I'm going to take my kind of rudimentary model and do a little bit more homework on position sizing and adjusting the spreads a bit more on the current model first, and just see if I can make this thing even more defensive, because I have nothing in there to basically close out positions if things start getting a little crazy. The only time this thing will close out positions with market orders and kind of reduce its exposure is when it hits the upper limit of its inventory. Other than that, it kind of just hangs on for the ride, and basically it waits on its kind of defensive posture to keep it out of trouble. So if it detects it's going into a kind of a bearish regime, it will then widen the spreads, skew the spreads, and try to not accumulate any additional inventory to the downside. It will it will refresh its quotes on its bids much slower than on its asks. So it tries to not accumulate any additional inventory if the market's moving down. Now the problem happens when we are like moving into like a market like this right here, where it's like kind of choppy, not really not really any clear trend. So maybe it accumulated some inventory going down here, and we're sitting at 3 or 4 lots at that point, and then bam, like the market just moves down before like the model can really even do anything, and then before we know it, we've hit the 3% stop loss for the day. So really the ideal scenario would be like, we get to here and then the model's like, oh shit, like something's going on. We're not in neutral territory anymore, and I need to, reduce my position sizes and exposure right now, because if I'm hanging on to inventory as the market drops another 2%, I'm gonna be out for the day. So that's what I'm gonna be looking at first. So basically, position sizing, adjusting inventory like ASAP rather than waiting for it to kind of happen naturally based on the bids and asks that I'm putting out there. And then I'm going to continue playing with this kind of more advanced filter that's using machine learning to try to, build a random forest model and optimize it to predict the regimes. So that's kind of what I got in store for now. I'm also going to just keep an eye on these other coins, and especially the fact that Vine I'm quoting a wider spread on that out of all of these, and it seems to be faring the best out of the bunch for now. Although, granted, it did also get stopped out twice in the past week as well. But it is interesting that Ethereum's got the tightest base spread, and it's gotten stopped out, every day except for one day this week. I don't think it was running on this first day here. That's why it was at 0. So, yeah, maybe the moral of the story here, and just this initial looking at this data here, is like just widen the base spread to start with, and we'll see where that takes us, how far that gets us on its own. So, anyway. Yeah, so we're still a ways away from trading any real sort of money with this, but which, thank God, given the events of the past week. It was crazy. The Nasdaq was up like 12% or something yesterday. It was insane. So hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope you were able to make some money this week off of these moves, and I'll keep you posted with what I'm seeing on the results of my next set of changes. So have an awesome week, guys. I will see you later.